Hey guys, Kale here. So we're finally back in Hungary and only did one or two episodes in the month of January because of the whole process of us getting back to Hungary with the new baby and the whole family. And so apologize for that, but the plan is going forward to release a new episode every Wednesday. So if you're into that kind of thing and you're watching this one, you can watch on YouTube, of course, by finding my channel, Kale Horvath Media, on YouTube, or you can listen on any of your audio podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. So thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it. We've been back in Hungary for about a week and a half now, and so I thought it would be cool to share with you guys a couple of quote unquote hacks that I figured out just now after already having lived abroad for 2 years. And so these are, you could call them missions hacks or just travel hacks, because I think that I'm going to give you three separate things that I think could apply to, of course, if you're becoming a missionary and your family is moving abroad, these are going to be super helpful for you. But even if you're just going on a missions trip abroad, or you are just traveling internationally, even if it's not an international, or even if it's not a missions trip per se, I think this information can help you, because it certainly helped me once I figured it out on my own. So here we go. The first two have to do with the actual the flying and the packing, because when we were coming back to Hungary, we now had an infant, which is fun. I could probably do a whole other episode on how to fly transatlantic with an infant that we figured out. But he did well. Really what it's in regards to is we were in the US for 4 months. We didn't know if we'd be in the US for 3 or 4 months, but it just turned out that we were there about 4 months, and mostly because of having the baby and getting all that stuff, paperwork taken care of, and we stayed for the holidays and whatnot. Came back in January. And because we already had one boy, Judah is 4 years old, and we had another boy, Isaac. We had a bunch of baby clothes stored at my parents' house, and so Brooke was like, we should save money and we should bring these back with us. And when she started pulling them out of storage, it was a lot. So I was thinking, okay, how can we get all this stuff back? Now, of course, we had his checked bag. If you've not really flown, abroad, I mean, typically you're going to get one checked bag of up to 50 pounds or 23 kilograms. And then you're also going to get a carry-on that you can sometimes check if they'll let you, and then a personal item like a backpack or what have you. And so you can get away with a lot of stuff, and you get that for each ticket that you purchase. And we decided when you fly with a baby, an infant under 2 years old, most airlines is, you don't have to buy a ticket for them, but you have to hold them on your lap the whole time, unless you get lucky and your flight isn't full. But we had a car seat, we had a stroller, and we needed that luggage, so it made sense. And we were only buying a one-way ticket, not a round trip ticket, so we bought a ticket for Isaac as well, so that he would have a seat in that luggage. But we also acquired some other things while we were in the States, as missionaries do. Judah had his first Christmas in the States since 2019, so grandparents had a field day with that. So we wanted to bring back some toys and things. So the problem is, the first time that we came to Hungary, we bought a bunch of suitcases and brought them with us to bring the things with us that we wanted to move with. And so we already had a bunch of suitcases back here in storage, and I didn't want to go buy more. We came with 3 large checked bag suitcases. I didn't want to go buy 2 more, so that we could have one for Isaac and an extra one. And so I started digging around the internet and searching, and come to find out, here's tip number 1 for you. If you're moving abroad, or if you need to take lots of things abroad, like you're going on a missions trip or something, most airlines will let you take a 27-gallon tote. And that's a very specific size. If you go to Lowe's or Home Depot or something, these are the totes that they're large, and they have a black bottom and a yellow lid typically. You've probably seen them before, especially if you're a guy and you do any sort of like handiwork. It's those big storage totes, black with a yellow lid, typically 27 gallons. And the reason that's important is because now every manufacturer, the dimensions can be a little different, but typically these totes are going to be the max size that an airline will let you take on. I have experience now with these totes because American Airlines / British Airways let us use these. And what most airlines are going to have as a stipulation for the size of your bag is a magic number. For American Airlines, it was 62 inches. And that number is the total when you add up the width, the length, and the height of your bag. And so, you just now there are some 27-gallon totes. When I was looking them up online, the dimensions were, 63, 64 inches. Would they stop you and measure it? American Airlines did not, although mine fell like right at 62. They didn't even care. It must be normal enough. I even called the airline beforehand because they didn't have issues, and they seemed to not really care. So that was cool. And those totes, the ones that I bought, were about 5 pounds each, whereas a regular bag is probably 8 to 10. And those totes cost me $8. They were on sale at a place called Rural King. When they're not on sale, maybe $10 to $20 versus a cheap bag suitcase, $50 to $100. So you're saving money, you're gaining more weight and space. Overall, it was a great deal, and we could actually use those in Hungary again as storage rather than just having more suitcases that we wasted money on and don't need. And so that was really cool. Now, what most people are going to ask is, well, what about TSA? How do you seal those things up? Well, the cool thing about those totes is they usually have holes on the top and the lid so that you can secure them. And if you want to pay for TSA locks, you can. What I did after reading some internet blogs was I just zip tied them shut. But before I sealed it, on the inside, I put a Ziploc baggie that had a note card in it with all of our information in case the luggage got lost. It said, our names, our address, our phone number, and our email address. And then I put extra zip ties in that sandwich baggie with a note that said, TSA, if you unseal and search, would you please reseal with these zip ties? Thanks. And so, turns out neither of ours got unpackaged, but that I read that online. And honestly, when I called American Airlines and asked about it, they said chances are if the TSA is not going to open your bag if they can see everything inside of it. So take that for what it's worth, but it worked really well for us. It was a cheap alternative, and it allowed us to bring back more things very easily. And so if you're going on a missions trip and taking a bunch of stuff or maybe work supplies for a work trip in Africa or something like that, using those 27-gallon totes might be a great way for you and your church to get those. And especially if you're moving and you're like, man, we're going to have to take 10 checked bags. Do we want to buy 10 suitcases? You might want to go this route. So that's number one. Number two applies there as well because we had a lot of clothes, mostly clothes that we were taking back. And we were in the States during the winter, and so we had some coats and some sweaters, some things that we bought while we were in the States so that we didn't have to pack so heavy. And we left some stuff in the States. We didn't bring it all back. But especially, coats, sweaters, blankets for the kids, and Isaac's clothes that were just a bunch of baby clothes Brooke had stored. So the second tip is vacuum seal bags. I've never used these before. I just thought, hey, I've seen those on TV and online, maybe that would be a good idea. Went down to Walmart, bought the cheapest off-brand vacuum seal bag that I could, and guys, they worked awesome. I would say that they shrunk them down like 50% most of the time. Now it's, if you're just like packing like pants and blue jeans, those are already pretty flat, but the things that have a lot of air in them, or if you're stuffing a lot of stuff into a bag, man, they work great. And so at Walmart, the whatever brand of bags they had, the medium flats were perfect. They were like, they just fit perfectly inside the 27-gallon totes and the suitcases as well. And they seriously shrunk like 50% of the size and really helped us pack as much as we could because we weren't always teetering on the threshold of the max weight for the suitcases, but fitting all those clothes and baby clothes in. And stuffed animals, kids' stuffed animals, it worked really, really well. So there's a couple different kinds. If you're doing what we're doing and you have a vacuum on both sides, it's not a big deal. Get the vacuum one. Literally, you don't need a special vacuum. There's just a little like circle puck on the top of the bag. You fill the bag up, you seal it. It's like a Ziploc. And then you just you literally just set the vacuum on top of this little nozzle, the circle, and it sucks the air out. But they also make some that if you're traveling round trip and you're worried about not having a vacuum, like for the way back, that you don't need that. It's got a different kind of one-way valve to where you put everything in and you just roll it up and it presses the air out. It's a one-way valve. And when you unroll it, the air stays out. It doesn't come back in. So I didn't want those because I just imagined it wouldn't take quite as much air out, but we also weren't worried about then coming back. And they're reusable, which is great. So we can just stack, fold them up, store them, and use them the next time we have a trip or something like that, or just use them to store other things. So yeah, the two hacks for travel, for packing is those 27-gallon black and yellow totes that you can get at any like Home Depot or Lowe's type store, and then vacuum seal bags as well. The third thing the third hack is something that I'm really excited that I figured out, but I'm also a little frustrated that I didn't figure it out in the last 2 years because it would have been really handy. Something that you need when you're abroad, especially when you're living abroad, is a way to call back to America, not just with your friends and family, because friends and family, you can use any kind of Wi-Fi messenger app, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Signal. There's a whole slew of them, and you can use any of those. And I think if you're an Apple iPhone guy, you can probably even just Wi-Fi text. But um, I bought a international, what I thought was an international cell phone plan here in Hungary, but it turns out international means like the EU. So when I call America, it can be really expensive and spotty. But not only that, when you live abroad, you have to put in the country code, which means you have to put in like a plus symbol with other numbers. And turns out when you give American hospitals, doctors' offices, banks, official kind of offices and places a foreign phone number, most of them freak out and like, I can't call this. I don't know what to do with this. So that's always been a problem. And I've tried different solutions like Google Voice, which kind of sometimes works, but it doesn't ever ring through. Let me give you first of all, here's a bonus hack before I get to the real hack for phone numbers. Whenever we canceled our plans in America, I wanted to keep my phone number just in case people tried to get a hold of me so I would know. I found a cool website called numberbarn.com, and I'm sure there's other ones where basically what I was able to do for like $20 a year, like $2 a month, is park my phone number. And so I still own that phone number, but I can't make calls or receive calls. What it does is every time a text or a phone call comes through, I get an email and it tells me the text message and it shows me the number of who sent it. And then if I get a call, it'll show me a missed call. And I believe, I can't remember, it's been a while. I believe it'll even, I believe it'll let you set up a voicemail so that if you miss a call, you can even kind of say like, hey, we're out of the country or something like that. So Number Barn worked great so that I could, people like important calls or texts that I would miss, I could say, hey, I saw your text. This is my new number, stuff like that, and get a hold of them still. But what I'm excited about is this new way for us to have American local phone numbers that we can use abroad for official stuff like doctors, hospitals, and bank accounts and stuff like that. And it's Magic Jack. And so if you're my age or older and you remember in the 90s, there used to be this commercial that would play all the time for Magic Jack, which was literally just a way for you to plug in a telephone receiver into your computer so that you could make like long distance calls and international calls just using like a dial-up or DSL internet connection. And I was started thinking, I wonder if that still exists. So I started Googling it. Well, Magic Jack still exists, but not only that, they got with the times, they created a smartphone app. And so literally you download the smartphone app. I think it's called Magic App, but just search Magic Jack app. And all it is a messenger and telephone app that you can use over Wi-Fi. This is what it looks like if you can see it on the video, if you're on YouTube. Yeah, so it's literally just a phone there that I can get texts and calls and send texts and calls whenever I'm on Wi-Fi. But you pay $4 a month, $4 a month, and you get an American local phone number. And you even get to pick which state it's in. So since I'm from Ohio, that won't confuse the banks and the, doctors' offices as much. And so I could pick a 330 area code for my home where we're from, and we have a local American phone number for $4 a month that allows us to make and receive calls. So if somebody calls me on that number and I'm connected to Wi-Fi, I get the thing. I have voicemail. I can send and receive text messages, and honestly, it's a huge answer to what I've been looking for a long time now, being able to talk to doctors, insurance, hospitals, especially now that we're still trying to deal with paying off the doctor bills from the baby while we're abroad, and then being able and playing phone tag with the insurance and the doctor's offices, and your bank accounts always want you to have a phone number on file. And you might try to log into something and they have two-factor authentication where they're like, hey, we're going to send you a text message, right? And so you can actually get that text message from your American phone number. So that's huge. So I just wanted to share those hacks with you. They helped us a lot recently. Maybe they can help you. So those three things again, quick. We're at 27-gallon totes for instead of luggage, instead of suitcases. Vacuum seal bags, really, really practical and helpful and fairly cheap. And then Number Barn and the Magic Jack app for a $4 per month American phone number that works on Wi-Fi. So anyway, hope that I hope that helps you guys in some way. Pass it on, share this if you like it, and I'll see you back next week with whatever God lays on my heart next time. See ya.